And I see that I say that even to my own kids. I tell them, do whatever interests you, whether it's martial arts, music, whatever. But please focus on STEM, because I think this is the future.
Sleem Hasan, thank you so much for joining me on 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful home. We're here in Dubai. Sleem, start by telling me about this painting behind us, because I think that it has a lot to do with what's happening in this room right now in our dialogue.
Well, let's pick up from the last word you've just uttered, because that's actually the name of the painting. The painting is called The Dialogue, and it was commissioned by a gentleman who used to live in Dubai 15 years ago, by an artist who I had the good fortune of meeting 20 years ago in London, way before I moved to Dubai. And the commissionaire asked Ralph Hymans, who is the artist, to paint something that focuses on the region but focuses on interfaith. And this is what Ralphie produced, what is behind us. So why is it hanging on my wall if it was commissioned by somebody else? So after 6 months or thereabouts in 2005, when Ralph completed the painting and he came to visit Dubai for the first time, we went to hand over the painting to the clients who commissioned Ralph, only to find out when we unveiled the painting that he disapproved of the image, having approved, paid everything prior to.
Right.
So he did a total volte-face. And of course Ralph was, crestfallen. I certainly was gobsmacked, because in my world, when you shake hands with somebody and do a deal, and you don't renege on it. But this was a very influential person in Dubai at the time. We gave him I was 1 year old in Dubai. We gave him his money back, and we walked out with our tails between our legs. And then at that moment, I turned around to Ralph Hymans, who is the person who painted this painting called The Dialogue, and said, Ralph, you know what? I'm not legally or contractually, I said to myself, obliged, but you know what? I just felt bad. I said, I'll buy it, so you won't have wasted your time. Ralph never forgot that gesture. Today, by the grace of God, I'm one of the 3 people in Ralph's world who can actually represent him globally on his website, ralphhymans.com, to handle his commission inquiries. He later went on to get his first Royal Commission in 2006, and then fast forward 2012, his first serious Royal Commission. He was the only artist commissioned by Buckingham Palace to paint the Queen for the Diamond Jubilee. That painting, for any of those who live in London or who visit London, I invite them to go to Westminster Abbey, because that's the final resting place of Her Majesty the Queen's painting. She's the totem factotum royal in the planet, as you know. And that painting hangs at Westminster Abbey today.
Beautiful.
Fast forward 2018-19, I was here in Dubai, and I was in Karachi actually, and then I came back in the new year in 19. And all the papers were talking about a big event that's going to take place for the first time in this country. So what was the big event? The big event was that Pope Francis is going to visit the UAE for the first time. So we're all very excited, The Holy See from the Vatican is coming to Abu Dhabi. He conducted a mass. He came for 3 days during something called Interfaith Harmony Week, February 3rd to 5th. He was only here for 48 hours. The whole world covered that event. CNN, Reuters, Bloomberg, all the usual suspects. And he conducted a mass for nearly 100,000 Catholic Christians. This was amazing. And what was even more amazing was that every paper talked about 2 words that the Pope was focusing on. Now watch my hands. What were the two words? Interfaith, dialogue. And I've got tons of newspaper articles if you want that you can read. When I saw these two words, I went crazy. I said 15 years ago, 14 years ago back then, painting was done in Dubai by this artist, called the dialogue, subject matter was interfaith. Now look how those words have now moved, coming out of the mouth of the Holy See.
Right.
People came, want to know about this, that, about the painting. I didn't do anything, I just carried on.
I love that.
Fast forward this year, minding my own business. Suddenly, August the 13th, we're all reading these two words, Abraham Accord. When I read carefully, I had no words. And actually, for the first time, I turned around and I said, you know what? I'm prepared to even gift this painting. But to whom and for what reason? Well, the message of this painting is not a message that I manufactured. It was a message that I stood by 15 years ago at a time when there was no Abraham Accord.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did I plan the Abraham Accord? No. I'm living here, minding my own business like any resident in this place, doing my best. And when I see the Abraham Accord, I then reached out to one of the ministers here who had actually invited Ralph in an official capacity in December 2019 for some work, and said, you know what, I believe this painting deserves a gift from a leader here to Netanyahu, for example. They said at that time, look, the deal has not been signed, it's just an announcement, maybe it's a bit premature. I said, I'm a nobody, it's okay, I respect it. Quietly, I kept my head down, no problem. Early September, His Highness Abdullah bin Zayed went to the White House in front of the whole world, signed Abraham Accord. Again, before he was going, I reached out to another minister. I said, I think he should give it to Trump now. Again, there was no response. And then I decided, you know what, I'll rescind my offer. I tried. I cannot force something whose time has not come, and I cannot manufacture something that does not exist. But I know there was a message that I stood by 15 years ago, and with God's grace, one day the whole world will hear about it. Today, if somebody came to me and says, Sleem, you want to sell the painting? Go to Sotheby's, go to Christie's, go to this. I said, no, we don't need Sotheby's or Christie's. I will ask you one question. If you can answer it, I'll put a price on the painting. So what is the question? If you can put a price on peace between Israel and its Arab neighbors, I will put a price on this painting. If you can, I'm welcome. I'm listening. If you can do it, welcome. So that's a lot of the story behind it. In fact, this whole journey, what I'm sharing with you now, was actually aired for the first time about 6 weeks ago through a podcast that took place out of New York. Alex Romanovich runs a platform called Global Edge Talk. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this and the materials has already been shared.
Wonderful.
But it's in the light of the aftermaths of the Abraham Accord, and now the normalization of relationships between both sovereign states. The story is now being told for the first time. Not even when Ralph, with all due respect, got the commission from Buckingham Palace, I did not say anything. It's beautiful for Ralph. Today he's referred to as a modern day Caravaggio. Anybody who doesn't know him, please go and check him out. If you want Caravaggio today at not Caravaggio prices, go to Ralph. But that's not the point. The point is, this has been a long journey for me. It's a very important journey in my life, and it's got nothing to do with my main business that I came to do in Dubai 16 years ago. It was to start off this business in looking for technology entrepreneurs.
Right.
But today, if somebody asks me, Sleem, what are your 3 passions in life? Okay, they're very simple now. It's technology, art, as you can see around the house. Both my wife and I keen on art, and interfaith dialogue.
Right.
Interfaith dialogue to me is very, very important. I explained my background to you earlier. You know, there were 6 flags I showed you.
Right.
Right. You know, the Fiji Islands, Pakistan, Nigeria, UK, Japan, and now United Arab Emirates. You know, I can move between these geographies quite seamlessly. I lived in Africa. I grew up in Africa. I hail from Pakistan. I worked 37 years with the Japanese. It's a different culture. I'm now living in the UAE for 16 years. So it's a melange, you know, a mixture of different people, different types. And that's how I look at life today, you know. You have 5 fingers on your hand. They all belong to you. They're all different sizes. They coexist. If God put all those 5 fingers and they wanted to be equal, they'd be equal. They're not, but they coexist. So learn from your hand. Lessons
100%.
of life.
Salim, you have a fascinating upbringing, all the way from Nigeria, all the way to going to do business in Japan, now in the UAE, with 3 more flags in between. Your background is in mathematics. So you study mathematics.
Yes, I did.
In Oxford, right, in Cambridge, and
Yes.
you transitioned from academia to becoming a problem solver. Tell me a little bit about your mindset, like you did earlier, about what it means to be a problem solver, whether it's in mathematics or in life or in interfaith dialogue.
Well, look, in life, a mathematician is trained to solve problems at the basic, at the essence, at the core. So any mathematician worth his or her salt will learn, keep trying, and have the ability to solve problems. Those problems obviously are mathematical in nature. However, when you go out into the big world, there are other type of problems that come about. But a problem and a problem solving capacity or ability, I see parallels between them. It's the way your mind is hardwired, the DNA. And I say that even to my own kids. I tell them, you know, do whatever interests you, you know, whether it's martial arts, music, whatever, but please focus on STEM, because I think this is the future, you know. And when I was 17, I told my late parents at the time, you know, Dad, Mom, I want to study maths at university. And I remember my mother's words at the time. She said, no, you're going to become a teacher. What are you going to do? Become an engineer, get a profession. Of course, a different generation, a different mindset. I respect that. However, my dad said one beautiful thing. He said, let him follow his heart. Today, I am so grateful that he allowed me to follow my heart when I was 17. And today, it's that mathematics that is really, really the core, the essence of how I look at everything in life. I analyze. I'm constantly running simulations of things. You know, when I meet entrepreneurs today, I'm analyzing them literally from the minute they open their mouth and interact with me. You know, and it's going on. It's like you know, the CPU of a computer. It's just running at the back. You know, crunching. And this is what I do. So I'm analyzing. You know, they show me 5-year projections and numbers and this and that. You know, you can analyze it very quickly, and it's not conceptually difficult.
Right.
What we do now, what I'm doing right now in the VC world, it's not conceptually difficult. It's more commercial. It's more speed, access, people, networks. You know, but is it conceptually difficult? No. The part 3 of the maths tripos I did at Cambridge, that was conceptually difficult. This is not.
When we were sitting back in your office, you were mentioning to me, we didn't even talk about the numbers and the 5-year projections. You were talking about sniffing the right entrepreneur, smelling the right opportunity to partner with the right person, not just their ideas and not just the capital, but the entrepreneur.
Yes.
Tell me about that as your role as a one-man VC show, because that is what you are. We talked a bit about Orange Zev before, and one of the most remarkable things I think about your journey that I'm so inspired by is your outlook on the globality of things and how you can and how tech integrates all parts of the world, not just Silicon Valley and Tel Aviv. And you are one of the people in the forefront of that. Tell me a little bit about your mindset.
Well, thank you for asking that question, and I really appreciate it. And again, I like to break things down, you know, in bite sizes so people can understand it very easily. And my answer to that is very simple. When you go to a bar, you meet people, you meet friends, some you connect with, some you don't, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What is that first exchange, that chemistry that is taking place, that connects you with one person as opposed to somebody else, before they even open their mouth? There's a human attraction, there's a human proclivity, there's a human affinity, whatever you want to call it. And then the guy opens their mouth, talks, exchanges, ideas are being exchanged. Some are you're receptive to, some are not. So let's now take that basic thing out from the example I cited into the entrepreneurial world. So you meet an entrepreneur for the first time. Some people you will connect with, some people you will not. The ones you don't connect with doesn't mean they don't have a good idea. The chances are, as a VC this size, you know, and you have 24 hours in a day, it becomes part of your filtering mechanism. The ones you connect with, and then you like their idea, that's a good starting off point. So I say, I'm agnostic to geography as I am to industry vertical. I only care about the underlying compelling value proposition of the idea. Open your mouth and appeal to my intellect. Once you appeal to it, I'll get engaged. Once I get engaged, doesn't mean I'm right. I've had 3 companies that crashed in my portfolio. I've had 3 exits. I've had one company that's got the backing and funding of a tier 1 Silicon Valley corporate VC sitting here in that little office you came into in Dubai. So this is my journey. This is what I do. I connect with people. I connect with cultures. I connect with all religions. I connect with society. And I'm not saying it. I've done it. I've connected with all kinds of people. Even way before the Abraham Accord that is now official, I had many Jewish friends, some from Israel, some, you know, Persian Jews, or, you know, Jews from wherever, you know. I had a lot of friends, but it was never something that I grew up, you know, saying, oh, that guy's a Buddhist, that guy's an Indian, that guy's a Jewish. No, it's not the way I was brought up. I was brought up by my parents. That's my late father picture I'm pointing to over there, and my late mother is over there.
They're beautiful.
You know, yeah. I was brought up to respect people. You know, my dad used to always tell me, son, you take any 2 people in the world and ask them, how many hours in your day? Answer, 24. How many in yours? 24. On what basis is his time more valuable than yours? It's a mathematical constant. First differential is 0. How can your time be more valuable than his? And then you take any 5 people in a room, all different nationalities, one Spanish, one Indian, one Israeli, one Jewish, Japan, whatever. And you make a small cut in their skin. If the color that comes out from any one of those people is different, come back to me. This is how I was brought up. This is the fundamental tenets I use to lead my life. I'm not impressed about money. I'm not impressed about people who sit on billions of dollars of funds. First, it's not theirs. And if it was theirs, okay, great. With hard work, I have no objections to that. But to tell me you manage a fund of somebody else's money, and it does not impress you, because but a great idea, I bow my head to that. Again, another quote from my late father. He said, son, you bow your head to 2 things in life. First and foremost, your creator. Second, in that order, superior intellect. I've taken his words and I made a business out of it. Today, the people I bow my head to are the entrepreneurs. They're the smart ones, not me. So respect the entrepreneur. And today, with interest rates being next to 0 or negative, even the market doesn't value money anymore. Right. So who am I to stand in the way of that? What does the fund mean? Right. I don't know.
You're talking about bowing your head to the entrepreneurs, and not necessarily the capital or whatever the status is, but you're an entrepreneur yourself. You sold your company.
Yes.
That you put your own capital,
yes.
Right? No outside investments. Privity also, the VC fund that you own yourself. It's your own money in it. Why go that route? Why go the route where you're investing in yourself? Because it seems to be a big part of who you are, right?
Well, perhaps it is. You know, I mean, in life, I tried working in a corporate world, I did well in a corporate world, but there was too much fire in the belly, and I was running when everybody was walking, and I was walking when everybody was sitting. So it's who I am.
Right.
And I'm not here to impose my views on anybody. I say, people want to build multi-billion-dollar empires. Great, do it. But I have my own journeys in life, and I also am core to my own beliefs. And part of that core of my own beliefs is I was also influenced by a book I read by Todd Henry, Die Empty. I believe that's where we all will end up. You know the book?
I don't.
This is important, I think, for your fellow students and whoever you're sharing this with. Somebody was asked one day, where do you find the most expensive real estate in the world? This is the theme of the book, which has really influenced me. And it said, somebody said, Tokyo, the Imperial Gardens. Somebody said Rockefeller Center. Somebody said, Buckingham Palace, wherever. He said, no, you're all wrong. That is not the most expensive real estate in the world. And you've got all these big funds buying real estate, and now guess what COVID has done to it? We don't know.
Right.
It's not me, I didn't do COVID, something happened. But he said in this book, he said, the graveyard is the most expensive real estate in the world. And the guy asked him, why is the graveyard the most expensive real estate in the world? He said, do you know the number of people with amazing ideas who did not share it with the world, who end up 6
Right.
feet under? What a waste to humanity. When I started absorbing that, I said, what's the point of chasing money? Yes, you need something to live, eat, roof over your head. There's enough in this world for everyone's need, but certainly not enough in this world for everyone's greed. So it was a rewiring of the brain. So I'm happy to do it on my journey. If somebody wants to join, welcome. I have a very simple philosophy in life. Never say no to the first cup of coffee. I learned that when through Ralph, actually, the artist, 20 years ago, because my mind was focused in Japan, trading, and anything that was out of that world. I didn't want to. No, keep an open mind. Meet people. Try different experiences, different cultures, eat different food. Spend time traveling once COVID allows and things normalize a bit. And this gives you a much better, rounded, balanced view of life. But this is the way I've been brought up.
I love it. Sleem, this was inspiring. Thank you for sharing with me your journey, your passion, both for technology, for ideas, but also for interfaith dialogue. I really didn't expect this coming in, and I think it's remarkably inspiring for me as I'm ending here my trip in Dubai this past week to have this as the final conversation. It leaves me with inspiration, hope, and mainly excitement to come back and
welcome anytime.
And work
welcome anytime
on really impactful things together. So thank you very, very much.
Shalom.
Shalom. The very last thing that I have to ask, which is the most important question, 3 words that you would use to describe yourself. I have a feeling I know some of them already, and I have a feeling you mentioned them already, but 3 words that anybody who knows Sleem Hasan would say about you.
Well, I think first and foremost, it would be passionate.
Yeah.
Persistent and persevering. Those are the 3 P's that guide me in my life. I never give up to anything. If I fundamentally have a core belief in something, nobody can change my mind.
Wonderful.
Other than an act of God, who's the ultimate, my creator, and who's leased my life to me. Our lives have been leased to us. We don't even own that. So if we don't own that, how can we put claims on other things when our own, the most precious thing we don't even own? It's a fundamental philosophical way of looking at life.
Right.
And because of that, then you suddenly realize you're just a tiny little speck, and it puts things into perspective.
It really does.
And to me, I never like to talk about it, but there's a wonderful poem that when I was 15, I learnt by the guy who wrote Pilgrim's Progress, called John Bunyan.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Contentment. Again, this poem influenced me in my life when I was 15. And I recommend anyone to Google and just check it out if they've not already read it. And I'll just read the first stanza for you.
Please.
You know, it's he that is down needs fear no fall. He that is low, no pride. He that is humble ever shall have God to be his guide. That first stanza, you know, has influenced me in my life. Nothing wrong with being down and low. You will never fall. You will never fall in life. You can only fall when you rise, and you will fall when you rise because, you know, certain things overtake those basic tenets that you lose track of as you're rising. If you don't lose it, you will continue to rise.
I love it. Sleem, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This was wonderful.